All right. Okay, so it said we're live, so let me, I gotta check because it does what it does. Let's make sure.
It's on Facebook. You doing this on?
Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know why it keeps posting it private. It's like, what? What is the point of posting something if it's gonna be private? I guess. Okay, so we are live. Shout out to whoever shared it already, okay? Because that was quick. That was real
Cool
quick.
feet.
That was like, you know, I can't be mad at that. All right, I
Oh,
will
there we
wait
go.
to share it for a second because I want to make sure we're in the whole. We're waiting on share it
Ooh,
for a second because I want to make sure we're. Uh oh.
all right. I turned it down.
And then I did it. I turned around and did it.
Oh, did yeah, I turned it. I'll try to. I got it on mute now.
Okay. All right. So, what was I getting ready to say? Oh, we're waiting for two more panelists, and I'm like excited. But before we, you know, really dive into things into this discussion, in case those of you who are watching now, you don't know what we're talking about. Today is a great title we have called "Was It Worth It?" and it's about the sickle cell advocacy journey. Uh, I'm listen. I have so many things to say, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. So, uh, with that being said, I will introduce myself real quick so that I can start um, broadcasting the PowerPoint. Hello, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, I am Shabreon The Advocate. Uh, Chef Shay Mated, aka uh, also known as Shay Breon Howard. And I just wanted to say thank you all for watching. If you like my content, make sure you share it. And I am a writer, filmmaker, photographer, graphic designer, all around self proclaimed creative genius because I have a lot of creativity in me. And I just use my creativity to bring sickle cell awareness. Other than that, I am the child of a sickle cell patient. My mother passed away from complications of sickle cell when I was 7 and she was 25. I am also the mother of a sickle cell trait warrior. She's 9 going on 10. And yeah, other than that, that's it. I mean, yeah. D'Angelo, you mind introducing yourself, please?
Okay. My name is D'Angelo Simmons. I started 365 Never Ending Fight. We located here in Cincinnati. And I've been doing advocate work about 20 years now. Uh, what I did is to basically took my experience with sickle cell, my hurdles, and put together a program to try to shorten the distance for other sickle cell patients. That's me. And I also go by Mr. Check Your Temp on social media where I do different podcast interviews of sickle cell patients because I like to basically shine a light on the ones that can battle and still, basically maintain a life and basically try to do better while battling sickle cell.
Awesome. Okay. Uh Dorian, we're gonna skip to you until Lena is ready. Are you ready, Dorian? I'm sorry, I just assumed.
No, yeah, I am. I was muted. Sorry.
Okay.
I I'm Dorian Archie, sickle cell patient, SF. I'm an advocate. I'm also the program manager for Cayenne Wellness's March on Hospital campaign, which is a comprehensive grassroots campaign geared towards directly challenging the hospitals to change their standard of care towards sickle cell patients, so that we can start getting the care that we're actually deserving of. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Awesome. Brandon?
Well, my name is Brandon. I'm 25 years old. I have sickle cell SC. Both my parents have the trait. I'm a dancer, author, motivational speaker, clothing designer, photographer, videographer, model, and me and my dad do a podcast and stuff like that. I'm pretty much covering different things from sickle cell to just about anything. Um, when I wrote my book, I wrote that I was still in like high school when I wrote it, pretty much talking about my experience with sickle cell, and I use my platforms and stuff like that, to shine light on sickle cell. Also show, others that you're still able to do things in this world, and also others that don't know me as Brandon, they know me as Be Smooth, which is my dance name, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Awesome. All right, now you know. Come on, Lena. It's your turn.
Is it my turn? Hi, you guys. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry for my lateness. My name is Lena Harvey. I am a sickle cell warrior. I have sickle cell beta thalassemia plus. Um, I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. I was born in Chicago. Um, I have a family here. I have a husband. I have a 10-year-old son. We have a mini schnauzer. He's all black with a little gray beard. He thinks he's a person. Um, and I have been advocating in numerous ways for, like at least 2 decades. So I've definitely got some skin in the game. I have quite a bit of personal knowledge as well as professional knowledge that is, growing. And so I am just super happy to be here. Happy to see you again, Shay. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having us on. You guys can find me on pretty much all social media platforms under Lena Harvey. I am on YouTube as well. Lena Lavish, the Queen Warrior herself on YouTube. I'm Lena Lavish 100 on TikTok. That's probably going to get you the most up to date, going on from me. But yes, I've advocated in a lot of different, avenues over the years, and increasingly, more so these days. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
All right, y'all. All right. So let's get started. Let me bring the lovely presentation up that I did for us for today. All right. Everyone can see? Are we good?
Yeah, it looks
Awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. All right. So, first of all and foremost, I just want to say happy Sickle Cell Awareness Month to everybody out there.
Yes.
It's our month to shine for real, for real. So, yes.
Happy sickle timber. Happy sickle timber.
Happy Sickle Timber. Absolutely. Okay. So, Was it worth it? We just did the intros, so that was cool. All right. Now, truthfully, I'm gonna look at these questions from my other device here because I'm blind. I can't see that. Anyways, we're just gonna start with. Hold on a second, y'all. Bring it up. Okay, we're gonna start with. Why do you choose to advocate, and what form of advocacy do you participate in? I know we kind of already touched upon that with our introductions, but not really. So I think this is an opportunity to dive in a little deeper and, go a little further about why this is so important to us and, where we get all this steam from, right? So I'll just start. Just to start us off. Uh, yeah. Well, why do I choose to be an advocate? Well, it's needed first and foremost. I think what really made me take it as serious as I take it now is that I saw so much suffering at one point, so much suffering. And I know people are still suffering, but it was like a point where I just had to get up and do something. I knew I had all these talents and gifts and skills, and I could help to bring a spotlight to this illness. I can help be a light, a guiding light to people who may feel like they're alone and in the dark. And sorry, scam likely always calling. Anyway, so with that being said, it really, for me, that's what made me really know that that was something I had to take seriously. And I've already talked about my forms of advocacy, but I can, I'll just list off stuff that I've done. Stuff like documentary series, magazines, so much stuff. Listen, we don't have the time if I sat here, but all I can say is I just use my creativity. I know that God put so much gifts and talents in me for a reason, and I plan to leave here completely empty. And the only way I can do that is if I use it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using my gifts to the best of my abilities to help bring awareness to sickle cell and mental health. That's another something else that's really important, and it basically goes hand in hand anyway. So yeah, who's next?
Well, I guess I'll jump in there.
Okay.
So I guess by profession, I am a political and community organizer. I initially started political organizing with the DNC, and then later moved over to the White House. And like you said, Shay, it was largely because I saw a lot of the disparities that the sickle cell community was facing that I chose to bring my talents to the sickle cell community in terms of advocacy and organizing around sickle cell issues. Actually left politics altogether and strictly started focusing on community organizing, and that's largely what I do now, organizing around. I'm still political organized, but I politically organize around community-based issues, specifically ones that impact sickle cell patients. I worked on Assembly Bill 1105 out here in California, which ultimately garnered about $3.5 million for sickle cell patients in creating sickle cell centers, as well as dispersing money to various sickle cell nonprofits and CBOs. So that's actually one thing I'm actually really proud of, because it was a piece of legislation that ultimately became the framework for national legislation that Senators Cory Booker and Corey Scott out of North Carolina or South Carolina, one of those. But Senator Booker and Scott did a joint bipartisan bill, sponsored a bipartisan bill presented to Congress for sickle cell patients, and hopefully, it's gone through a couple of sessions already and hasn't passed, but hopefully with continued work and effort, we can continue to see more political strides in the name of sickle cell. Because I honestly think that by changing the stigma and the view around how sickle cell is viewed, both socially and politically, that we can really change the narrative around how sickle cell patients are viewed in hospitals and ERs, which is where patients experience the greatest disparities and loss of life. So, that's where I choose to advocate, and will continue to advocate, and as well as any avenue that I can get my foot in the door for. But yeah, I'm also a graduate of Howard University. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah.
Just to throw that in there at the end, I know that's right, Dorian. Okay, we lost him as soon as he finished talking. He'll be back.
That was
All right,
great.
who's next?
I go. Well, I started doing advocacy work when I was probably about 25. I'm 44 now. And when I first jumped into it, I used to work for a company called Hawksworth Blood Center. So, and I learned early on the roles that blood donation play in sickle cell care. So I started off at Hawksworth Blood Center and inside the call center, and started organizing my own blood drives as I went through the company. So what I did, I started going to the communities where we reside, the inner city, some would call it the hood, and put together blood drives to educate people how important it is for Black people to donate, and how our bodies is less likely to reject blood from donors that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off doing that. Then I went inside the Urban League. So I worked for the Urban League as a private contractor, teaching pain management and self-esteem building. Because what I learned, a lot of sickle cell patients have low self-esteem. So I kind of help and direct them and coach them in ways where they could feel a bit more better about themselves, no matter what hurdles is thrown their way through the sickle cell. So speed passed through there. I got inside the high schools, organized blood drives inside the high schools. I started 365 Never Ending Fight back in 2006. And basically, I just started doing it as an organization. I took a break for a minute, went to school, went to college, did some things, and came back to it. And this stage of being an advocacy is new to me. Before I was doing videos, and I was more in the street, face to face with people, which is my best ability. Now, this is a new era right here with me because it allows me to reach more people. And I really just now, at the stage I'm getting now, where I'm at with it now is, I realized how sickle cell was the base, but it's not who you are, right? So I kind of help educate young folks, young people that deal with sickle cell, knowing that they not sickle cell. Sickle cell is just a part of them. They still could be successful. They still could be great. They can do anything they want to do, but you have to learn how to maintain and but learn to live with that illness, basically. But that's where I'm at with it now. So that, on for social media sites, I go back Mr. Check Your Temp, because one thing we know about sickle cell patients, we always get our temperature checked. So you never really know how a person doing until you check their true temperature. So that's where that name comes from. So I just use these platforms to educate, and I also use this platform to help maintain my mental. Because as you get older, you never realize how your mental is fully affected, from the battle and the hurdles and the complications of sickle cell. So that's kind of where I'm resting that for the advocate part. Just maintaining your life with sickle cell anemia to the best of your ability, and make sure you treat your mental first. But that's where I'm at with it now.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Right. All right. So who's next? Oh, before we continue, I'm sorry. Master has joined us.
Hi,
So thank
Master.
you for joining us, Master. If you just
How
want to
y'all doing?
kind of quickly introduce yourself, and then I'll tell you what the well, actually, I'll tell you what the question is. The question is, um, why do you choose to advocate, and what form of advocacy do you participate? Go ahead, Master.
You want me to answer it now, or you want me to let them finish?
I would like you to introduce yourself and then answer the question, please, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Master Bird. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm an artist. That's the introduction. Uh, as far as the question goes, um, I advocate basically for um the generations after me. You know, there was a lot of things that I didn't know um, as I was growing up, and then I just so happened to meet somebody on here who taught me a whole lot on social media. I mean, who taught me a whole lot, like from being just in and out of the groups and everything. And when I met this guy, he taught me a lot. So I mean, why not give it away, give that part away as well? Uh, I was already doing certain things, which is like again how we met, but I didn't know though. You know, I didn't know a lot of things based off of my journey with sickle cell. It was a lot of stuff I just didn't know. Um, I didn't know about like crisis in the face. I didn't know. I didn't even know what progress was. Honestly, I didn't know what it was. I mean, I would be getting it, but I didn't know that that was that. You know. Yeah. So I mean, I advocate because I really feel like the things that we go through, it can't keep on like it. Like some stuff has to change. You know, um, it's sad that even after the people before us, and I don't know what they did pertaining to this, what I'm about to speak on, but it's still here, which is racism. You know, and it's like it's ridiculous how bad racism is. A lot of things I didn't experience because, like I said, my journey wasn't, you know, it wasn't a lot of hospital. It wasn't a lot of me being in the hospital. But as I start seeing, you know, um, other people and talking to other people and like reading other people's stories, uh, man, some of the stuff I used to think people was tripping. But no, it's real, and we can't have that. Like I don't think that the next generation should have, like we got to do something about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I guess I'll go. Um, the reason why I choose advocate is because growing up, at first I thought I was like the only one dealing with this until my mother and my father helped do research, and I started to see there was kids and adults stuff like that that's dealing with the same thing. I started advocating at like 14, through my art, which is dance, and through a whole bunch of other stuff that I do, and by posting videos and doing motivational speakings and stuff like that. And I also had noticed the shift change when you're a child dealing with sickle cell to your adult age and stuff like that, and like how you get treated. You may be mistreated in one hospital than you are from another one. And I wanted to like touch on that and stuff like that, and also show you know the younger generation and some of the older generation that you're still able to follow your dreams and do whatever you want to do and stuff like that. Sickle cell doesn't define you. it's just a part of you and stuff like that. And what forms of advocacy I do, interviews, trials, the dance videos that I do. Um, yeah, so it's pretty much it's multiple things that I do, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
I'm sorry. What forms of advocacy I do is art. This right here, like talking. Yeah, I do like little things as far as the Sickle Cell Association of Illinois go. Even in the hospital, I think all of us advocate while we're in the hospital when we get one nurse that's willing to listen. You know, so uh, yeah,
Don't forget your art.
huh?
Don't forget your art.
No,
That was the first thing he said.
I said that. You know what else though? Another form I think of advocacy is learning. I think learning is a big thing, and when you uh looking at others, watching others, right? Like when I first started um with you, Shay, seeing the different things that you do. Like when I saw Dorian go crazy with the financial thing, that let me know that there was just so many other different places that all of us is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Lena, it's your turn. Did you go?
Well, um, so my advocacy journey began before I even really understood what advocacy was or what I was doing. I would often volunteer to do, you know, um, like promo or things, simple things for our historic nonprofit here, the Martin Center Sickle Cell Initiative. This is a 50-plus-year-old institution here that was founded by some people who had real hearts, for the people of Indianapolis, in particular, the Black people of Indianapolis, and then as well those affected by sickle cell disease. And so by the time I was a young child in growing up in the early 90s, this was an already established, entity. And so when I came along, my mom and I moved to Indy from Chicago around the time that I was 8 or 9. And I remember arriving at the Martin Center and seeing this, you know, this giant figure of a man who his name was Dr. Boniface Hardin. And he was the founder of this place. And I remember seeing him. He had this big gray afro, and he would either be in his suit or he would be, he would have his collar, on. He would, be in his whites or whatever. And it was just always amazing to me to see this type of person walking around, because everywhere he went, I noticed how people reacted to him. And I thought, I need to be paying attention, because this man is clearly someone that has knowledge and influence. And of course, he had those things, but most importantly, he cared about people that had sickle cell and people that were pushed, to the margins of society. This was in the 60s. And so that during that time, that he founded this place, I wasn't even thought of, And so by the time I came along, I just wanted to hang around. And so we would go to support groups there. We would go, they would give us, there would be an active food pantry. There still is. I still go to the Martin Center. I live still nearby. I drive there, every couple of weeks. I get groceries from the food pantry. I receive gas cards so that I can take my son back and forth to school and get to my own appointments and things like that to manage my sickle cell. Um, but they have me on record going back until I was a child where I would be in their commercials. I've won awards through them, of course, scholarships, for during my time, my academic time there. And so I was actually advocating and not even realizing it as a young child just by participating in our local nonprofit that was here for sickle cell patients. I felt like it was made for me. And that's because it was. And so I'm the type of person that if something is for me, I'm going to claim it. And that's where it began with me. And so as time went on, I did take some time away from advocating in order to get through college. You guys know college is a very stressful time for a lot of us dealing with chronic illnesses. And it legit almost killed me, and it was only 18 months. I did become a chef. I got my culinary arts degree, but it cost me a lot of my, you know, my hips. Like it cost me my hips.
Dang. They don't tell you that when
Anyway,
you sign up for school, right? Like, oh yeah, it's this much money plus your hips, plus your hips. Don't forget your hips.
listen, I'm not trying to be triggered tonight. Listen. But I did it though. I did it. It was people I had people that I was living with that had very little circumstances and I had a whole lot of them. Okay? And I still did that thing and graduated with honors, okay? But listen, after that and I came back home, I was in a whirlwind romance, okay? I still am 15 years this month, okay? Um, I was waiting for my boo to graduate up in Purdue where he was at. So I came back home. But see, I got a little bored, because I was going through some things with my career. And that's when the advocacy crept back up. I was called back into action. Basically, the Martin Center was like, "Are you back from school or what are you doing right now?" And so I was pulled back in, and that has led me to some really wonderful places. I've been able to advocate downtown at our state house after I was, got pulled into a community organizing, organization here that taught me all about how to community organize. I've been able to participate in numerous conferences, and I was able to be a moderator for Pfizer last year. I am now our co-chair for our statewide advocacy day or advocacy committee now. And so I've led that committee now for a year. I'm on my second year. Um, and I also am, a part of the SCMA, which is Sickle Cell Medical Advocacy Incorporated with Dr. Simone. If anyone of you has heard about Dr. Simone or knows her, then you're already familiar with the fact that she is literally the title of her first book, A Doctor in a Patient's Body. And so, since she has one foot in each world, she is a gem to us because it's almost like she has helped us to crack the code as far as communicating, directly with, our providers about what it is that we need and teaching us what it is that we need so that we can advocate for ourselves just as well as we can advocate for someone else. So my journey has not only come full circle um, with the fact that I believe next month I'll be able to go to my very first SCDAA convention. in Arlington, and that's going to be on scholarship from the Martin Center. So, after so long of putting in work with them and being there on call, they really want to support me in my personal journey, which is being enlarged. I'm being called, to bigger projects and more and broader stages, for the betterment of us all. Because listen, this sickle cell lifestyle is not for the weak. There's no person that I know that would volunteer to trade places with me. And so for that, I say, so be it. I'm a warrior, I'm a queen. So I'm trying to be out here to showcase that it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It's really just all about overcoming them. And if your circumstance in the moment is that someone is unable to hear or see you or understand you for whatever reason, right? I like to try to teach people how to control their triggers and their emotions so that they can cut to the heart of the situation and get their healing by any means necessary.
Yes.
I'm not here to play.
I don't think any of us here are.
Okay, so I'm in the right room. I'm in the right room tonight.
Yes, you are indeed. Okay. So we got everybody, right? We got everyone? Okay.
Yeah,
I just like to double check because listen.
somebody be lurking in the background. Girl, go ahead and put that poster back up so we can talk about
What poster?
The poster of us.
Oh, the poster?
The poster of us. Because now listen, we're the only two. Where's Omika? She's not here.
She's not here. She couldn't make it last minute.
Oh my God. So we're outnumbered tonight.
We are. I'm excited about that, by the way.
I was gonna be outnumbered regardless. What was y'all talking about? What you mean?
Well, first of all, I love the poster. And I did tell you that. We were just talking about how, we have to go back in the archives, for some of these pictures and whatnot. But we're just talking about how Brandon was the most beautiful one on here. And I have on a whole gown. Okay.
Yes.
Did y'all just call a man beautiful?
Listen, you paid attention to the wrong part of the sentence that she just said.
It wasn't me. All right, do your thing.
Listen, everybody on the flyer is very beautiful.
Perfect.
I am grateful for all of the beautiful people here and absent.
I'm just poking. We all look wonderful. You know why? Because we're all celebrities. Everyone is beautiful.
Handsome.
You're not on the flyer, but
everyone is beautiful. Master, you're beautiful as well. Everyone is beautiful. Yeah, I was just poking fun because I have to do that every time I see Brandon. So,
I knew it was coming.
So what's our next question?
So the next question is, can or have you gotten paid for your sickle cell advocacy? I'll just kind of answer that real quick. Yes and yes. Yes, I have, and yes, I can. And yeah, the should you question is coming later, so that's something else. So just you can answer quickly. You can say what you charge for, whatever. You don't have to.
I answer.
Okay.
I have gotten paid when I did the Urban League, pain management and self-esteem building. But majority of the times, no, I do not get paid. So, but yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to answer?
Yeah, I'm on my way. I've gotten paid as of this year. I think was the first time that I've been paid. So that was a you know, a milestone for me since I kind of just got here a couple years ago. But I'm working my way to becoming a super advocate. So yes, I'm working on it.
Let me. We'll
What's
talk
a
later.
super advocate?
I ain't gonna say what I was about to say because it's go. Never mind. All
What's a
right.
super advocate, may I ask, please?
What's a super advocate? That's what you said.
Yes.
A term that I made up for myself because I'm extra. Essentially, what I mean is like already right now, like I advocate at the state house by way of the committee. I advocate on YouTube. I advocate through SCMA, which is patient to patient or advocate to patient. I also advocate in the hospitals, meaning like tomorrow I'll spend my whole work day from like 8 to 2 o'clock at a local hospital here, popping up a booth for the Martin Center. I'll do that every Thursday this month, along with another sickle cell patient advocate. And then on another day, so a fifth day, we'll be there particularly to be accessible to the doctors and the medical staff for like one-on-one questioning and like panel like meetings. So I advocate in a like in 4 different, you know, lanes or whatnot, which is why I make it I like to boil things down for the people in the back that don't even know what advocates do. And like I just like to make like put a little sauce on it so people want to ask that question. Like, what is a super advocate? Well, if you ain't gonna see me on the news downtown at the State House, you might see me at the hospital. If you ain't gonna see me at the hospital, then you're probably gonna see me on YouTube. If you don't see me on YouTube, then you're probably gonna see me on TikTok. You know, I'm gonna be somewhere.
One
That's
second,
all.
guys. I'm sorry.
That's all.
Does someone else want to answer that question? Thanks.
Oh,
Yeah, I have been paid for it, and yes, you can get paid for it and stuff like that.
Same. Yes, I have, and yes, you can.
yeah, I'm paid for my advocacy. I'm also in a very lucky position to now be paid on a regular basis for advocacy work that is also my profession. So that's a huge blessing to be able to do my 9 to 5 work strictly 100% for sickle cell and be compensated for it.
Jeopardy court? Jeopardy.
All right now. Okay. You know there's a mic right here, right? Like it's sorry. Okay. Ouch. I keep hitting my freaking leg. Okay, did everybody who wanted to answer the question answer it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so next question. Do you see a prevalent change in the sickle cell community? And is it positive or negative?
Yes.
I answer. Who say that? You go ahead.
In the last, I'd say 10 years, but really in the last 5 years, I've seen probably some of the greatest strides for sickle cell that I've seen in the entirety of my life. Just in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, I think we've made more strides than in the previous 20 combined, just in terms of having like sickle cell specific drugs that are FDA approved specifically for sickle cell, not some other drug that they found out kind of sort of did something for sickle cell. So now they peddle it to us, every chance they get. But drugs that were clinically trialed specifically for sickle cell patients to aid sickle cell patients for sickle cell issues. Preventative measures, as well as seeing funding increases on state and federal levels. You know, I know typically the Black community isn't the biggest fan of Donald Trump, but if you look at the facts, Donald Trump was the only president in recent history, literally since Nixon in 1975, to give federal funding specifically to sickle cell disease. Also holding White House, you know, open table caucuses with sickle cell patients, practitioners, advocates in the White House. So no other president since Nixon. Well, no other president did that at all. But Nixon gave money, but Trump took that a step further. So just seeing stuff like that on the national stage, seeing our sickle cell be spoken about on the national stage, is something that you didn't really see until very recently. So I think that a lot of the progress that we're making and have made has been very positive, especially in destigmatizing a lot of negative stuff that you typically heard about sickle cell patients, or sickle cell patients have conveyed to them by the very people who are supposed to be taking care of them. And instead of taking care of them, they're disparaging them or telling them, what another patient did, or another experience that they had, or that they've heard we're all drug seekers, or that kind of stuff has largely been tapered in a lot of ways. And I think it's because of the work of advocates like us, conversations like these that are taking place. So yeah.
I'd like to speak to that.
All right, let's hear it.
Now, Dorian, I appreciate that information, because some of the things you said I did not know. But for us here in Cincinnati, with the way I guess some of them changes hasn't trickled down to some of these clinics around here. One thing, the change I have seen, let me speak to that, is through social media, right? How you get more people sharing a journey. I think that's a beautiful thing. Just bringing awareness to sickle cell. From my era, sickle cell was always on the hush. Where the areas I grew up in, it was looked at as weak, right? So you kept that, a secret long as you could. So now, fast forward with social media, I see more sickle cell patients really showing that, right? Because when it comes to educating, we are the educators. In my era, we ain't speak about it. But this era is more people learning more about it. So that's a positive. The respect with these doctors, I haven't seen that yet. The games these pharmaceuticals play, I haven't seen that. I would love to see change in that era. I would love to see change with the insurance company. It's a lot, and we know this is, like you say, almost cousin. Like we say, it's only been 5 years, so we starting somewhere. So that's a positive. I was excited when I heard in the Transformer movie, and they mentioned sickle cell.
Yes.
Right? I'm 44 years old. It feel like I'm 44 years old, and it feel like I had a gift up under the Christmas tree, because to see that on the big screen, kudos. Even though it wasn't, I can't even say that, because sickle cell is sickle cell, no matter the demographic. But the fact, that was a beautiful thing, and that's a start. But it's sad that we get the trickles and we get happy, right? I mean, it's sad. What I would love to see is some of these entertainers who have sickle cell trait, sickle cell anemia, speak more to how they was able to get where they at while battling that. That's what I would love to see, but that's just me. But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
No, I'm really glad you spoke to that, though, because you're right. There's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done in a lot of areas, and I feel like you're right. In a place like California, there are a lot, I think, medically speaking, there are a lot more strides being made on the social tip and making sure that these doctors, are on their P's and Q's when it comes to us. But I travel all around the country. I'm from Texas. I went to school in DC, and I've been in hospitals. I was hospitalized in Colorado. I went through on a ski trip. I don't know why my dumb ass did that.
That thin air.
But ended up in a 2 hour ambulance ride down the mountains back to Denver, and like I've seen how doctors in these different cities view sickle cell patients, what their level of understanding is, whether they've even met or encountered a sickle cell patient. And in certain areas and pockets, it's definitely still, a whole lot of work that need to be done on the ground. So I don't want to paint a broad picture and say we made all this progress, because it's still a shit ton of work. I'm sorry. It's still a lot more work that need to be done.
Yeah. Well said. Listen, I see great changes. I see the big changes, and I see very small ones, and I see the efforts of people who probably don't even know that I'm seeing them. I mean, I try to acknowledge people as much as possible, but I'm busy, so I don't always get a chance to. But what I'm saying is I see people's efforts, and I see as a whole people trying to make strides towards a change, and whatever that looks like for them or for any of us, really, because that really is what we all have in common here, is the fact that we're trying to make a change. We're trying to change something for the better. Not one of us on this panel has come into this community and was like, if it change, it change. If not, I'm cool with that. No, no. We all decided something needs to change, and we've all decided strategically or, however, to put our efforts forward, put our best foot forward, and make that happen, whatever that looks like. Now, I try my best not to pay attention to negativity, but it's there. I think there's equal positive and negative change. I think that a lot of things haven't changed as much as they could because I know it haven't changed as much as they could because people are stuck in the same cycle and it's repeating. So,
Can I
anybody
respond to
else?
that? One thing, like I said, this is why I focus on ages between 10, where they old enough to comprehend, right? 10 to 20, I stop at, right? Because adults, we stuck in our ways, right? So when it comes to trying to be an advocate to a 25 plus person, it would cause me more heartache and stress, which would trigger me. And so that's why I rather catch them early, catch them young, because sickle cell is a lifestyle, and if you can't maintain that part of your life, the rest of your life is going to be chaos. So I like to catch them early in that pocket, because like people like who's on the level who can go into these White Houses and articulate in that setting. That's a beautiful thing. This is why it's a village, because you got to know where your fight at, right? My fight is more base level. Yeah, I mean, other people fight should be and can be on a different level. Like all this relationship that's going on right now that we building. Everybody got their strengths and everybody got they focus point. But when it comes to positive, negative change, I mean, we early in it. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a dog fight. You got to say
We got a
that.
ways to go.
It's gonna be a dog fight. I'm with it though. I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Anybody want to add anything else? Okay, we can move on. All right. So we did touch upon change, but we're gonna dive in a little bit deeper. Okay. So if you could change 3 things about living or life with sickle cell, what would it be?
If I could change 3 things,
Like 3 major changes. If a genie was like, "Yo, you get 3 wishes."
you know what?
Talking about
I got
like
one. Oh, my bad.
issues
Go ahead.
around sickle cell, or like specifically within the disease.
Within the disease, whatever, however, whichever perspective you would like to take a shot at answering from. It's up to you.
One change I would like to see, that you really have a say in your treatment, right? Because we know these doctors give us the illusion that we are part of our treatment, and we really not, right? Because if you protest too hard, you'll get blackballed, right? So I would rather our voice truly be heard. You know what I mean? And not saying some don't. I'm not saying it's spit across the board, because all doctors not bad. But we know that is a factor of it's a few out there. So that's one thing I would like to change. I would like to see change that, we really got to say in our treatment, right? So that's one for me.
Okay.
One for me is the sickle cell community, like the what's the non-profits and all of that, like I don't know, they really, I think it needs to be just really pushed and enforced that you all collect money because of us. For real. Like, y'all not, like, a lot of them don't even have sickle cell. So you're not really doing nothing. Like, for you really do this for us. So even when we talk about like payment, that should never be a problem if you're advocating for a particular group. But aside from that, I just think like all these associations and all of that, and it's like, why don't they come together for like a collective, donating to politicians and things of that nature? Like, I just think that that makes an impact. If politicians control the hospitals and things of that nature, like why aren't they doing things like more political versus just we having a sickle cell bowl this month and we having a sickle cell this week and we doing that? Like, that's great, but what about the things that really 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 matter? Some of these people get millions. Some of these groups, they get millions from different hospitals and different companies, and it's like it could be so much more done with that. Yeah, they say that sickle cell is the least funded. Well, when couldn't some of that go to that as well? I mean, just saying.
Hey, Master, I don't even mean to cut you off, man, but I want to piggyback on that, right? Okay, but I want to piggyback on that, right? So when I started with the Herbal League here in Cincinnati, right, I was 25 when I first started figuring out the 501c3 game, right? But as I got closer to that, to the money, I realized how a dirty game when it comes to them, the money game, right? When it comes to them grants, right? And so as I moved through that system and saw the politics in it, so I started working with another organization where they was getting $250,000 on a year or something like that. I don't know a year for how many years, right? And what they did was they took sickle cell patients and had us stand up there and tell our story.
Boy.
And what while they have a box lunch for you with chips and a bologna sandwich in it, and they walk off right with the check. So
Yeah.
one time I had a friend of mine who was a female who was doing it with me. You know, her gas electric about to get cut off. They couldn't even come through. So that's what made me start a 365 Never Ending Fight, because I started realizing, like, instead of them organizations coming to a sickle cell patient to speak and share their life story, and have them can't say it without crying because it's sensitive, they should be compensated more than a gift card or, you know, a box lunch. They should be paid, right? And who better to do that to sickle cell patients need to organize that part, right? You know what I mean? Because a lot of sickle cell patients do get took advantage of, and they do make big money off our story. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I feel what you're saying, man. But that's all I want to say, because I have witnessed that multiple times. It didn't happen to me multiple times. You know, I mean, they'll steal your ID and a whole nine.
I had a situation like that where a person wanted me to come and do something pertaining to like a like the paint and sip, you know, and she wanted me to come and do this paint and sip, and she was talking to me, you know, telling me how her cousin had just had passed away, but she had this event coming up. Now the cousin was the one who had sickle cell, and and to me, you know, I'm like, just get me there. You know, if you just get me there, I'll take care of the rest or whatever. So it went from that to her constantly calling with different. Um, we need a bio. We want headshot. We want all these different things. And I wasn't picking up on it, bro. I'm real talk. Like I wasn't picking up on it. It was a female that I was dealing with at the time who was like, "Are you not paying attention to what she's doing?" And I'm like, "No." So she called me at once. She called me, man, and she ended up having an artist friend who she was like, "Okay, well, my friend is gonna like do the paint party. She gonna do the paint part, but what you could do is you could just bring your artwork and sell your artwork." And it just started getting away from the things that I was supposed to do more and more and more. And then my friend just came out and was like, "Look, man, you know, she playing you. Like, she playing you. You just really finna be the mascot for this thing. Like, if she don't have sickle cell, her cousin just passed away, she said, that means she ain't got nobody to come and be the face of this. This is why she needs your story. This is why she needs your headshot. This is why." And it made sense, you know, and I never showed up. That's the same. But yeah, man,
But that's what they do, man. That's what they
they
do,
do.
man.
They,
I done seen it. I seen it so many times, man. But you know, that's what it's more like. We need to more take charge in that area. You know, I mean, I know here in Cincinnati, that's why I play the role I play here, because I see them. You know, I throw events and fundraisers for sickle cell, but I'm telling my story. I'm benefiting from the groundwork because it's about my story, and it's about things I do in the community and where their money's going. I mean, I'm able to show where their money's going when they buy a ticket to an event that I put on. You see what I'm saying? But you know, it's just like I said, man. They just take advantage. You know, I want to. You know, we can go to the next question if you want to. But
I just wanted to add just a little bit to what you guys were saying.
yeah,
Just to say this. Now, you wouldn't go work on a job for 8 hours and say, okay, good looking. Like, you know, anything that you put your time into, I fully believe you should be, you know, you should receive financial funding for it. Like, you should not, unless it's something that you want to do, you know. But if
yeah,
someone is coming towards you and asks, like, honestly, when I do panels like this, I wish I had the funding to pay y'all, because I would, because you all are worth that. And it's seeing the worth in, and not just the people who choose to speak out, you know, choose to take the time to better themselves, because I know everyone here takes that time and says, you know what, I'm taking this serious. So however I can do better in what I am doing, however I can hone my craft in whatever it is, whether it's speaking, writing, whatever the case, we take it serious. When we go and we make posts on Facebook, or social media in general, when we do stuff like that, we're very mindful of what we're putting out there. We're very mindful of the advice that we're giving people. We take it serious. So I think that it's only right that advocates be taken serious because we take it serious. Um, okay.
Can also
Anyone else?
can I add one thing to that, Shay?
Yeah.
Also, kind of piggybacking off what Master was saying, because it was somewhat similar to what I was going to say as well. In that, I would like to see our sickle cell CBOs work together, you know, to actually create change across the board for sickle cell patients. So, I mean, like, you have an organization like SCDAA, which has a chapter in almost every major city in America, yet somehow we still don't have a lobbyist on the national stage lobbying for sickle cell issues. Yet you have an organization that's collecting dues from major organizations across the nation because of their sister chapters in every single major. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to know what
He'll be
SCDA's
back.
overhead looks like. I would love to see SCDA's books, because in terms of what the work that they could be doing, or the work that as a collective we could be doing with sickle cell, because so many of us don't work together. Not only do we not work together, but there's literal infighting and backbiting between organizations a lot of times. It can make it hard to actually get stuff done, because then when the people who want to do big things for us come to us and say, all right, well, what should we do with it? We're too busy infighting about what should happen or what we should do, that it ends up just disappearing. And I've seen it happen time and time again.
Yep.
So just to echo what you said, Master, I would love to see our CEOs work together, and also echoing what you said, D'Angelo, that how funding is utilized to actually secure that change.
I want to speak to what Dorian just said, which is the work together part. I think that's a thing within us too, within the community. So I had a situation where it's, where it's like, oh, okay, well, we want to do this and do that with your artwork, and it's like, if it wasn't for another artist, I would have never known what they did with her to be able to be like, oh, okay, well, this is what they're doing. And then I even had to start paying attention to, even like now, what I'm doing currently is like, it was just so crazy about this particular piece. But when I think about who's on the piece, I understand why. I understood, the why and to what they want. But again, it's me. We got to start talking to each other. So that way, they can't do us wrong that way either, because it could be some information that Dorian might have that he done dealt with them people already, and they done did this to him, or they could have paid him a bunch of money, but they don't want to give me $5. And then another thing is, we got to stop doing things in the name of sickle cell. A lot of that goes on too. Is that people expect us to do things in the name of sickle cell. And it's like, no, like no, like nah, no.
Yeah, we're sick and then expected to give of ourselves for free as well.
Right.
Yeah.
While battling a disease, dealing with medical bills, dealing with doctors, dealing with medications, prescriptions, all of that. And then we should also devote our time and energy to you for free as well.
Right. Yeah. Facts.
Where where do you think, like, I would like to know where that process, honestly, and listen, maybe we're seeing a perspective, or we're not seeing a perspective that they might have. I don't know. I'm interested in knowing, though. Like, I really want them to just say, hey, no, that's not what it is. But, like, it don't matter because you showed us anyway. So
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you what I think. What I think with that be too, we be so excited to be acknowledged, right? Because we don't get acknowledged. So
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
could come and call upon us, and we so eager to educate and motivate, we dive in, right? And which is cool to be excited because there's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. But sometimes we gotta take a step back and jump in door your inbox and jump in your inbox and say, hey, what y'all think about this? I got this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I,
let's come together on the group call and see how much I should be getting paid to speak. What, 1,500? How many hours? How many days? Like, what they gonna pay for? Traveling, room and board? Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes we be so excited that we don't even look to call upon nobody else for advice. I'm guilty of it. That's why I know it.
Yeah,
I got
I've
tired of
been there
being
too.
I
Yeah,
got
I
tired of
was.
being stuck up. You hear me?
Yeah,
Getting robbed.
A
listen,
lot of times,
listen.
asking
Honestly,
goes a
that's
long way.
really like truthfully what it is. If you think about it, right, and you're like,
yeah.
you know, you're coming into this community and you're so on fire, and so you just want to help, you just want to contribute, but that's up to you what you decide to donate as far as time goes. That's your
Mm-hmm.
choice. So if somebody hits me up and I don't feel like not charging that day, guess what? I'm going to charge you. And if you can't pay the fee, don't even come near. That's why I don't. And it's not about, I don't feel like, oh, I'm too good. What I feel like is if you drink water from every place, you can drown. Sometimes you can't be so thirsty for, you know, getting these opportunities that you're just taking it from anywhere, and it's to your detriment at the end of the day. Not to say something bad's going to happen to you, but you do feel used. You feel
Yeah, you're gonna be
unappreciated.
played.
You
You're gonna
know,
be played.
and who wants to feel like that when you already going through what you're going through with sickle cell? Who has time to feel like they don't matter when they've struggled their whole life feeling like they don't matter? You understand? Like that's really where I'm at. And that's why, like, I refuse to acknowledge anyone who doesn't acknowledge my words. Like, I'm not going to even pay it any attention, because if we got to keep going back and forth about my worth, it's not worth it.
Is anybody looking at like people that's watching this, right? If you got sickle cell, like really, really listen to what I'm about to say. Like really listen to this, right? Company gets 100,000. We can say $20,000 for event for this particular event, right? And one you in California and the company is in, let's say, Atlanta. Company call you. Hey, we would like for you to get to Atlanta to speak for our event. How we gonna get there? Oh, you responsible for that. So we would like for you to pay your money to come and spend your time to spend for our event, which is more than likely gonna get us paid more again. That just don't even sound right. That don't even sound right. Like the whole thought of that sound like a person getting played. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Pay
so,
your money to come to my event, your time to come to my event, and then with the words that you say, they're gonna 9 times out of 10 donate
Profit.
again.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. They're gonna get the donors
Yeah.
there, gonna give $5,000 each, $10,000 each, and they gonna collect, walk out of there with, $250,000, and then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, shake your hand, thank you for your time, and say, best wishes with your journey.
Good luck with your future
$10,000,
endeavors.
right?
That's why you
Yeah.
should ask for what that's why you should ask for what you want, and don't be so excited on the call. Yeah, I mean,
Hope you have a nice flight home.
take take a step back, from the call, and realize what they calling upon, like what they asking you to do. But I just
Not
know
to
there's times when I was younger, when I was younger and jumped in the game, like I said, it happened to me. I ain't know no better. So I know now, like, I tell people when folks here in Cincinnati ask me, I tell them, and make sure they pay you. Make sure they pay you and pay you well. Yeah, like I said, they want you, they gonna make sure they get you. Like I said, because
Exactly. If they
at the
see
end of
the
the
worth,
day,
they
you
will
know,
pay the worth. That's what it
I didn't
is.
say yeah. I just say throw it in the air, jump in somebody's inbox and ask what they should pay. I mean, straight, yeah. That's how you
Ask,
keep
ask
this.
for what you want.
Yeah,
What do I've been saying this since 2016. I wrote a
yeah,
poem about it. Know your worth and charge double, bro. Like I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, with everything, every fiber in my being. Know your worth and charge double, because at the end of the day, no one can tell you what you're worth. You know what you're worth. You know how much education you have. You know how much time you're willing to dedicate to bettering all of that. No one can put that price on that but you.
Yeah.
So
At minimum, look at what what organization is asking you to do this, and
right.
like if it's a major institution like a university hospital, or a hospital period, those organizations are multi-million dollar, sometimes billion-dollar institutions in and of themselves, and there's no excuse for them to not pay you. Two, a smaller nonprofit, they may collect a $250,000 check or something like that, but that entire $250,000 is probably going to go to keeping the lights on, the overhead, paying for the entirety of all the kids that they send to camp. And that's why so oftentimes, like a lot of these smaller sickle cell nonprofits, the only major program they do a year is sending the kids to camp, because all they're working with is $100,000 for the year or something.
Don't forget paying themselves, brother.
If they're paying themselves. A lot of times with the smaller ones, they don't pay themselves, and then what ends up happening is they just fold up all of a sudden. I saw it happen to so many different sickle cell nonprofits in Houston, Texas, like 2 or 3 different incarnations of the same organization popping up and then folding because they couldn't keep the lights on, essentially. So it is a double-edged sword. So I will volunteer my time to some people, but if a major nursing conference for a university is coming to me and asking for me to speak, then my ask of you is probably at minimum going to be $1,000, bare minimum, and that may just be for the 1 hour that I'm there to speak, if I even speak for a full hour. And that's just because off the strength of once I was paid that, I knew I could command that. So now, any major conference, that's my ask. At I may drop it to 500, depending on if it's a multiple day or anything like that. Then hell no. If it's a 1 day thing, maybe. But I don't mind even talking about how much I'm gonna ask for, because I feel like that's what each of us who are on this stage should be able to command at minimum. Hell, we should be able to command $10,000 per speaking engagement.
Yeah. Gotta say that.
Yeah.
Gotta say that.
All right, let's move on, because we
we're
going in a little bit, so let's see. All right. So, what issues should be spotlighted more, or do you like that has the attention that it does to create change for the better? I can off the top of my head say blood drives. Like, I know.
Yeah. That was gonna be my number one thing.
Yeah.
That was gonna be it. Like, Black and brown people need to give blood regularly, if for nobody else than the sickle cell community.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Period. If y'all got follow-up questions, inbox me, I guess. Like, do I need to explain?
Listen, I did a blood drive 1 year in the hood. I'll just say in the hood, and like the Black people was like, "Oh, I'm afraid of needles," but tatted up though. I'm like, what?
That's one of my favorite ones. I love that. It's one of my favorite ones, girl.
In their defense, that's a little
you
different.
can't do anything but
It's not different, bro. Needle is a needle.
I'm doing
whether
my
it's going on your skin or in your skin, it's a needle.
It's left hand. A tattoo is sitting there jabbing you a million little times. It's a million little steps.
Yeah,
You
it's a
getting
little
poked
different
one
though.
time with a baby needle, and you got the biggest burliest tattoo sleeve down their arm guys telling you that they're afraid to do it. I'm doing my second blood drive for this year with my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and one of my biggest pushes within the fraternity has been doing more blood drives on the national stage. So I've already reached out to our province, and they've already made sickle cell a national or a province initiative within our California region, so that every chapter is responsible for doing at least one blood drive a year. So that in and of itself is going to increase, especially black men, because black men are the smallest donor population of any
Sure.
donor group out there. It's black men who give the lead, and black men are the ones who need to give the most. Because, like you
It
said,
seems
like
like black men don't want to do nothing, man. It's crazy.
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you
One
something. I'm
hate.
gonna tell you something, right? So back in when I first started coordinating blood drives with Hawksworth, right? I saw the difference on how Hawksworth will treat a blood drive that's in the burbs, right? They got all the bells and whistles, all the giveaways, etc. But when they came into the inner city, the blood drives look different, if any, right? So when I started doing the blood drives for Hawksworth, I lived at an apartment complex. I probably about 26, 27. So I stayed in this apartment complex where I organized the blood drive, and the people who donated at that complex got so much money off on their rent, right?
Oh
So that
wow.
was that was an incentive that I was able to put together with the property that I lived at. You know what I mean? Then we had giveaways, we had all this, stuff like that. So I fast forward to doing a blood drive at a high school. And when I went into there, I used a video that I did back in Denver, where they interviewed all the recipients of blood, right? So I got into a high school and I spoke to two senior classes, few classes that's on sickle cell, and that was one of the biggest blood drives that they had ever at that school. It's just the incentives that's needed to get black people to come out. We need a little bit more. Just keep it a buck. You know what I mean? If we, one, some of our families don't even know what sickle cell is, let alone in need of blood. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of conversations I have where I talk to somebody, I say, let's say you got a partner with sickle cell and y'all like to go out, kick it, all that. I say, but do you know what it took for that man or that young lady to get outside? Do you know the blood transfusions that he or she had to get to even feel good to make it to your birthday party? You know what I mean? So once they understood the urgency of blood and how black people love to donate, I mean should donate, and how it helps us, for us, our body is less likely to reject the blood from someone to look like us, right? But when it comes to black folks, it's like we got all the excuses in the world. It's just some of them got to be bribed. A lot of us still, uptight about to what is it? Tuskegee study from back in the day. A lot of people bring that up. I don't trust them organizations with these needles and blood, etc. But it's just an ongoing battle, and that's why I love putting on blood drives, because I know too many homies that I lost with SS from iron overload, from a lack of blood. You know what I mean? So that's why I coordinate blood drives. But it's gonna be an uphill battle, man, for black folks
do
to
you,
even
do you
understand
coordinate with
that.
the Red Cross?
No, not the Red Cross. It's Hawksworth Blood Center here in Cincinnati.
Okay, well,
Uh,
I don't know if they would ever be willing to do like a dual partnership with the Red Cross, because incentives for each donor that comes out as well. I know for our first blood drive back in February, it was happening a month before Super Bowl. So I worked it out to where and they were only doing this for a specific region at first, but every person who donated was entered to win Super Bowl tickets. On top of getting the $25, they got a $25 Visa gift card, a $20 online Amazon gift card. They got a T-shirt, wristbands and little trinkets and shit. I mean, and stuff.
Yeah, and
And
stuff.
then got got entered to win the Super Bowl tickets as well. And it was
Yeah.
honestly just the possibility of getting Super Bowl tickets that got a lot of these brothers to come down on a Saturday morning and donate blood. And just like you said, you notice that a blood drive in, say, this area, which I don't know, like Beverly Hills or something, is gonna have a lot more incentives, probably a lot more phlebotomists too, coming out to draw that blood, simply because they expect more of them. Once I got behind the scenes and I found out that our initial metric, we only had to clear 14 bags of blood. That's all they expected of, the brothers, out there in Crenshaw, donating blood. But when we cleared the board, They gave us 40 slots, and every single slot was filled, and every single donor showed up. Well, not every person showed up. We had walk-ins that filled a few spaces, but once we cleared the board, the Red Cross has been beating down my door every single freaking month since that blood drive, asking me to do another one because they want black blood too. They want black blood, and they're like, if somebody can get us black blood, then we'll go to whomever, wherever, however, and we'll give you all the phlebotomists. They sent us 3 phlebotomists the first time. This time they're sending 6. So that's twice as many blood donors that we could get through the door, twice as fast, simply because they now see the value in doing that for us. But a lot of times, because of how black donors donate, they don't see the value in doing that, so they won't incentivize. They won't send out a healthy amount of phlebotomists to actually draw the blood. But then you'll end up with delays, even with the few donors that you do have. So it ends up being hard to have successful blood drives when you're dealing with that kind of double-edged sword. So
I agree with you 1,000%, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, back in the day when I was doing the deals I was able to put in play was good. So fast forward to maybe 3 years ago with COVID, right before COVID, right? I did one when I opened up the new location, and we had 33 donors. Boom, that was beautiful, right? So the following year, once COVID hit, and I was able to get the donor bus to come out for the second time. Of course, this one is a flop because everybody, scared and, on the brink, Man, when I tell you they hit a 360 on messing with my organization on the blood drive side, it's almost like, what have you done for me lately, right? So it's like I learned that game too, which is understandable. If the numbers is not there, All I say is don't hold it against their organization. And I see some organizations, they will do that because, which I get it. It's always taking a chance at the end of the day. But I had to find other ways to do a blood drive where I didn't have to have the bus pull up. I just had them go in there and mention my name at different donations sites. But I said it to say this: if the numbers ain't right, yeah, a lot of them will fall back from you. The numbers got to stay on point. I'm trying to tell you.
All right. Anybody want to add anything to that question before we move on? This is a great conversation, by the way, guys. Thank you for just being you. Okay, next question. And I'm realizing Master took us through the whole second set already. So we only have one more question for this slide, which is why do you think political advocacy isn't spoken about more frequently?
I believe.
That's
Oh, my
easy.
bad. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that's easy because it's not glamorous and it is traditionally dominated by a certain demographic here in our country. So it's difficult for people to imagine themselves as a political advocate, especially if they're a sickle cell warrior, because who has the energy and the time? You know what I'm saying? My advocacy journey only really took off just, I think this will be my 3rd year before you, Shabreon. You remember when I first got here, girl, okay? When I
Yeah.
first woke up, okay, out of my slumber, okay, out of my nightmare, um, and just became a lot more in tune with what was going on around me because I was feeling better. For those watching that may not know, I started taking Oxbryta a while ago. It'll be 3 years soon, and it really changed my daily life. It took my fatigue down a whole lot, and it took my pain down to the point where I was able to stop taking the pain meds I was taking every day. And if somebody had told me that before that I would see that day, I would have never believed them because I didn't see my life going anywhere unless I had my meds with me. And so my life before and my life now after are very different because I'm sober, and I had not been for at least a decade. At least a decade, I was on high doses every day. Um, and so I was not able to be a fully functioning wife or mother or really anything. I couldn't really work, not just because of the sickle cell, but also because I was putting that hammer down on myself every day, trying to get away from the excruciating daily pain that just never left. And so now I have been able to conquer and defeat depression, anxiety, crippling anxiety. Okay. Um, as well as raise my self esteem. I've been able to wake myself up and realize that I'm actually a real warrior, so that if I can survive 36, 37, 38, going on 39 years of sickle cell, I can pretty much do anything. And why shouldn't I? And girl, that's when I met you. I hopped online. I started typing in sickle cell. I was not tapped into the community at all before that. I didn't even know there was a sickle cell community online because I was in my bed sleep or in the hospital all the time. And I didn't have time. So I was like, wow, I'm like, okay, there's someone out here called Shabreon The Advocate, and she's fierce. I was late to the party. And so now I realize that there are possibilities for us all, and we all deserve to be able to chase our dreams, even if we think right now that they're too big to come true. It doesn't matter. And so, yeah, girl, I think that there are times when if we are not careful, we can truly fall into a sense of like a false sense of security until we wake up and realize that it really is up to us. But at the end of the day, I don't have really anything. I don't feel like anyone owes me anything. I just feel like it's my responsibility to learn enough to be able to survive and come out of survival mode so that I can actually thrive at something.
Hmm.
Like everyone deserves that. Like everyone deserves that.
Absolutely.
But
And it
girl, what
doesn't
was the
matter
question
how old
again?
you are, by the way. It doesn't matter how young,
It
how
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What was
it
the
just
question?
the question was, why do you think political advocacy isn't spoken about more frequently? So you
Because
answered it, you just kind
people,
of like,
yeah, it's not glamorous.
She
It's not
answered.
one of
She
those
answered.
things that people like when you're a kid, when someone asks you what you want to be when you grow up, you're not like, I want to be a political advocate. Yes. You don't even know what those words mean. It takes a certain like life, trajectory to kind of for you to figure out what an advocate is, when you need an advocate or why you should advocate for, someone or, stand up and say that, this needs to happen. And then as far as politics goes, um, nobody really wants to, unless you're a true like debater or a true people person, like someone that's a true politician, not the grimy one that we think of now in America because we're so jaded, but like a true people person, someone that is skilled in, communicating effectively with many different types of people, many different types of groups and entities. Someone that has, conviction over their mind, discipline over their heart and bodies, someone that's able to set the tone, someone that does have a level head and can apply logic to, situations. Like these are important things that need to be done in the sickle cell community. But when I tell people what I do, like when we're talking about the sickle cell advocacy committee and how we work all year round to make sure that when we go and advocate downtown in our state house, that that event is successful, that we have actually communicated and corresponded with our legislators here in our state, and beyond. All of that, what I just said, goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why, like, when I do it, but like I look extra good when I'm doing it. That's why, because I'm trying to show people that it doesn't matter what you have to figure out what your purpose is, for one. Like, you have to know what your purpose is. For me, it is shedding light on dark places. And the sickle cell community, in my opinion, is a very dark place because we have been pushed aside for so long and ignored. And so now that we're literally just now starting to shed light on the fact that our community is a lot more vast and we have a lot more diamonds than people realize. Like, we are warriors, we are celebrities, in my opinion. Now that people are starting to see that, now it's becoming a wave. Well, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it means to go first, to be a leader. It's like you got to start the wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, you started the wave. Because when I woke up, you were like, hey, girl, time to get to work now that you're here. And so that's what it takes. It takes like sparking someone, but being introduced to the political world, honey, you have to have a heart for that. I did not think I was ever going to be considered anything political, but my husband became a community organizer here in our town. And then immediately just like pulled me in. And I mean, he allowed me my freedom, but I saw what he was doing, and I had never seen him enjoy something like that. That wasn't his job in the lab, prior. So I'm like, oh, well, he's really enjoying this. Like, what is he doing? And I realized that I was a good leader. I was a pretty good community organizer. Um, and so that made it easier for me to advocate downtown, when it comes to sickle cell, because everyone here knows me. I grew up here. So it became more of like a if the shoe fits, wear it type of situation. But for other people, yeah, political anything for one, and then advocacy, you got to explain what it is. And that's too much for us because we'll get a whole sleeve, but we ain't giving blood. Girl, contradictory.
Yes, yes, yes.
But that's my 2 cents.
All right. Anybody else want to add something real quick?
Yeah, just political, on the political spectrum, in terms of like why you don't see a lot of sickle cell issues is because, like I was saying before, a lot of our politicians and people don't know that it's an issue within our community. We've kind of touched on it here and there in terms of how a lot of times sickle cell patients have been silenced. A lot of times we've been stigmatized, so we don't stand up, we don't speak about it. We haven't historically been on the front lines of trying to make those things happen. But, we are starting to see things on the political spectrum beginning to happen for sickle cell, both on local levels as well as the national level. Like I said, there's currently a national bill, bipartisan bill, co-sponsored by two, um, a white guy and a black guy, from two vastly different sides of the political arena, in terms of, being Republicans or Democrats, or progressives and, conservatives. But I think a lot of politicians are starting to see the benefit of getting on board with sickle cell issues. And that's because of conversations like this that we're having in taking those issues to our politicians. I know out here in California, in this upcoming election for city council, I've gotten two current city council incumbents to agree to add sickle cell to their platform for for their campaign. So essentially, then it becomes holding them accountable to honoring that stuff. You made promises, you made concessions on behalf of sickle cell. Now we expect you to honor those concessions and hold them accountable to doing so. So it's really just about putting the fire to our politicians, because at the end of the day, most politicians are very vapid, self-centered people who want to be elected and want to be reelected. And if they see that there's a body of people who need them, then more times than not, they will get on board with that issue without question. So it's just about reaching out, showing them the value, and showing them the benefit that you are a community that is there, that they should be and need to be supporting. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I know, as I stated before, we already went through these next set of questions, but I did want to ask our viewers this question for them to comment something on. Do you think people who speak up for sickle cell sorry. Hold on. Do you think people who speak up for sickle cell patients more frequently should do it for the need for advocacy and not financial gain? Why or why not? And then also, do you think people who do speak up for sickle cell should get paid what they are worth? So, yeah. And if I was speaking a little too quickly for you, it's those last two questions right there. I'm going to switch the slide, but you guys just can kind of go back and pause it, do what you need to do to answer the question. And if you answer, we truly appreciate hearing your feedback as well. Okay, so this is an important portion of this discussion as well. Support. Okay. Why do you feel there is lack of support for the very people we are advocating for? Now, when I say that, I mean, and maybe you don't feel like that. Maybe you feel like sickle cell patients do support your efforts. Personally, I feel like I do get support, but I feel like for how much effort I give, I don't get the support I should. I feel like people like A.R. the Prophet, his music, he just put an album out. How many people shared that album? You know what I'm saying? And all right, I haven't shared it yet, but I've listened to it and it's amazing. I feel like it's just a love letter to sickle cell patients in September. Like how could you get any better than that? And why is this something that everybody with sickle cell is not talking about right now? Stuff like that. Stuff like Master is an amazing artist. Okay. Why don't people share his work and his lives the way that they should? I can keep going. I mean, everybody on this panel here, they make content videos, but they don't get the support that they should. And I get it. People are busy. But listen, if you keep saying, oh, no one cares, but you're seeing a group of people valiantly giving those efforts, and you're just like, how could they feel appreciated in those efforts? Because they're like, I think people don't realize we're going through the same battles. We're going through the same problems. We're going through the same pain, the same mental struggle, the mental exercises, the all of that. We go through it too. We're not exempt. We have not cracked the code of not ever feeling bad or not ever feeling unworthy or not ever feeling like, you know, depression or anxiety is trying to take us out. It happens. It still happens to me. So I'm not trying to speak for anybody else, but I feel like I can a little bit because we're human, right? We're not these subhuman androids that just decided, hey, sickle cell, that's the one we support. No. Do it because we care. We truly care and we truly want to help people. But how can the very people we are helping just kind of, breeze by?
Girl, it's the lies. It's the lies in their heads. First of all, they're too sick to be sitting up straight, looking at what we doing all the time. Secondly, they listen to those lies in their head, that imposter syndrome that tells them that Shabreon and Lena and Master and Brandon, they're special. They think we're special, you guys. They a lot of them think that we're special. And it's just not true. Like, we're, of course, we're all special in the way that we were born, in individuals with each a different purpose, but we're not special to the point where it's like it's easier for us than it is for them. It's just honestly that there's so little support from the top down, like there's like, or bottom up, whichever way you want to look at it, like from the base, from the root, from the foundation. A lot of sickle cell patients in this country are living on the fringes. They don't have a whole lot by way of support when it comes to their um monetary situation, but also just the amount of support they have from family and friends. Some of them don't have caregivers. Some people are fighting this illness with multiple children and no help. They're living in places that do not have a nonprofit that is available to them. Some of them do not even have hematologists, come to find out. A lot of them do not have proper care. And when you don't have proper care, or you have, struggles with your rent, or you don't know how you're going to get your next meal, bump what them special ones with the lipstick is doing on your Facebook timeline. At that point now, I'm just getting on their nerves because it's hard. It is super hard. Like, I was that person. Like I said, I'm 38. I would have never even found this place if I hadn't become, if my circumstances had not changed. And that's just the guy's honest truth. So they're struggling inside and out. And then when they see us, they're just like, oh, good for them.
I think it's different. I think it's more so a thing of black person syndrome, uh, black neighborhood syndrome. Uh, it's the thought of, well, I see Dorian. Why should he be the person to get rich? Uh, Instead of that thought of, let me be the person to help make him rich. I see YBT putting out all these albums even if it don't cost me nothing just to go on Apple Music. I'm paying for that anyway by listening to because I wanted to hear the other stuff. But to even just go and just stream him, but why should I do that with him? And there's really some people that enjoy. I know for a fact that there are people in this community uh, that enjoy different people, but they won't support nothing just because it's that person. Uh, yeah, and I think that's what it is more than anything is that it's like that person from your neighborhood, that don't want you to make it because you live with him, and then if you make it, that speaks to how less of what he's doing. So that's
Hey,
kind of how I view this community.
nah, yeah, both of y'all. I mean, I agree with both of y'all. Both of y'all,
Yeah,
got some great points. They solid. I mean, but just to put another perspective, not even another perspective, because y'all really just said it. One thing about sickle cell is a lonely fight, right? I mean, sickle cell is an isolated fight. I mean, and just to piggyback off with the young lady, what's your name again, Lena? What she said, just being the narcotic part of that, the sedated part. I mean, that come with the narcotics. Sometimes we just some people just watching just for purity encouragement, and maybe that's enough for them, so they build the confidence up. Sometimes it's kind of hard to support someone when your confidence ain't right. I mean, so you instead of bashing, you might just watch from a distance and take in the knowledge that they spewing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, both of y'all have some great points, man. It's just, one thing about sickle cell, man, it's a hell of a community, man. It's a community that's not supported and don't know how to support. I mean, financial hurdles, just life hurdles, man. I don't take it personal. I don't take none of the social media personal because just like in social media, I mean, just like sickle cell, that's across the board in anything. Basically, what Master was saying, we just got some hating tendencies out there. That's what it is. So, like
Mhm.
I said, if your confidence ain't solid, how can you support somebody else when you fighting the same fight? You see what I'm saying? So that's why I start off at the base and just I put it in the air, and whoever pull it down, pull it down. I mean, whoever
Wow,
fall
you
on,
know
fall
what?
on.
I didn't mean to cut you
Amen.
off, but that is so right what you just said because so I, for me, I found it very difficult I am in the process and I have been for the past 2.5 years of going back and reestablishing a lot of my basic discipline in my life because prior to me stopping the pain medicines, my discipline was out the window. I was doing nothing every day. I was sleeping day and night. I was deeply depressed. I had really bad anxiety. I was incapable of keeping like just regular hours. I mean, not regular. I hate using terms like that, but like just like it was difficult for me to maintain self discipline. The only discipline I really had was making sure to take my medicine every single day because I don't play about taking my medicine and keeping myself basically clean. Feeding myself was not really a priority. I couldn't really do much of anything. It had gotten very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I'm on this side and I have a lot more capability and my capacity has grown and expanded, like I said, I have a 10-year-old child. You can't not have discipline with a 10-year-old child. He's exceptional as well. And so he needs the discipline so that he can build his own foundational blocks so that he can be successful because he has the trait, he does not have the disease, he is not symptomatic, and he's very bright. And we expect him to go far doing whatever it is that he ends up doing. But in order for that to happen, I have to rebuild my entire life. And so I have to start at the very very basic bottom, like whatever is below ground level. I had to dig 2 stories down in order to lay my foundation. And I'm just now here on like ground level after 2.5 years. And so to the normal person out there looking, it looks like I haven't gone anywhere because I'm at ground level. But my skyscraper is about to go up, right? And I know that because I believe in myself. And it took me years of being in the background of other people's lives, watching other people blow up over years. You know what I'm saying? Like you see somebody and then you blink your eyes and now they're a freaking, celebrity and, they're super successful. And you're just like, am I still in the same spot? That life was no more for me
And you know what, though? I
after
don't mean to cut you off.
yeah, yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off, but what I would call that, man, a lot of them just full time patients. You know what I mean? And that's just something that, you got to
That
come out
part.
of at your own time. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
you got to come out of you got to come out of it at your own pace, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's no knock to a full time patient because
yeah.
you take a lot of
You
We've
gotta
all
do
been
what
you
you
take a
there.
gotta
lot of
do. Yeah,
narcotics.
yeah,
Yeah.
You take a lot you take a lot of narcotics that sedate your body
yeah.
anyway, right?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the side effect from the narcotic. Now I'm speaking
Yeah,
from the side effect from it from the fight itself. You know what
yeah,
I mean? We so used to operating in a fighting mentality. You know what I mean?
And
We don't.
sometimes that's all we know how to do is fight.
That's all. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
That's all we know is the fighting part, right? To the point you look up and you 40 something years old, you like, damn, where's my financial base at? You know what
yep,
I mean? Okay,
Or
my
you're like,
mind
damn, where are
and
my
my
family
mental
and
made it.
friends?
yep, yep.
Yeah, that too. Like it just, but so that's why I don't take for the support when it comes to sickle cell. All I do is I throw it in the air. Who will fall on, and whenever that seed sprout, it's gonna sprout. All I care. My point is, you must share it. We gotta share it because I wasn't at this level at all at where I'm at now. At one point, I was addicted to morphine. I was on OxyContin 80s. You know what I mean, taking them every day, put my body to sleep, went through a depression. All type of stuff. Like I wasn't. Like I said, but not to go deep with that part, but even when it comes to finding your purpose, right? When I was younger, I got two metal hips, metal shoulder, went blind in my left eye, had a heart attack, stroke, but I had to put my fight into my son, right? I had to find a reason. Now, if it was up to me, I would have been tapped out. I'd have been gone. But I had to look at the purpose, and at that time, I ain't had no career, I ain't had no job like that. I was wet, but my purpose was fatherhood. You know what I mean? That
Mhm,
was my reason to keep going and keep swinging, right? So that's what I had to use him to keep me alive. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And that's what it is, man. Some of them don't have that purpose. Some of them have kids. They ain't found a reason why yet. And to your reason why, pull you up out of that narcotic state, that sedated state, that depression, anxiety, etc. This is why sickle cell is a lifestyle. You gotta learn how to
Yes.
balance,
yeah,
not even balance, maintain. You gotta
yeah,
treat that. You gotta treat that.
Jordan,
Like
you
man,
had something you
but
wanted
once
to
you
say?
master that, not master that part, once you get that handle, because it's a fight. You're gonna win some days, you're gonna lose some days. But once you get a handle on that, then you could look up and look around and see like, damn, what goals I'm gonna set today, what I want to do today. You know what I mean? It's places out there who can't even fathom a dream or a goal to look 5 or 10 years ahead. They trying to figure out what tonight gonna be like once I run out of this last Percocet and I'm wet. Like I mean, what time I got to call the ambulance in the morning? What time the ER won't be crowded? You know what I mean? Let me go at midnight instead of at 7, 6 in the morning. See what I'm saying? It's just to cloud your mind, man, because you constantly fighting, man. You constantly swinging, man. But
You know
I just want to
something,
put that in
I
there.
think that that's all like exactly what we needed to hear because and on top of that, I think for me, I had a fear of disappoint. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. Like I did not. I could never finish a project in my old life because of my sickle cell. It was always me starting things and never being able to finish. Right, like I said, no, very little discipline. But like now, I'm realizing that I'm able. I am able to complete a project. I am able to hold myself to task, hold myself accountable, and show up for myself. But I did not know that before my awakening. Before that, I just thought I'm never going to be able to do this. It was this, that complex that just lies to you and tells you that you can't do this and you can't do that. And that's easy to believe when you are at your worst, when you're in crisis, or when, you're at your lowest point. That's very easy to believe. And so I want for us to keep in mind that it seems like we are pioneers in our own right, right? We are the few that have risen from the few, right? Like, because there's a whole bunch of people here on this planet, and then there's the sickle cell population, and then there's us. And so that's why I walk around with a very, commanding presence, because I know my worth and my value. And so when whatever area or space I go into, it's going to, shift around me. I'm not going to bend myself up in knots in order to, prove anything to anyone, because that's unnecessary. And that's, essentially an act of violence against the self. And so
Indeed.
I feel like we are doing the right things by leading the way. But child, even Mother Moses said, "Look, if you ain't ready, don't come, cause I ain't turning around." She said, "Look, you got to be ready." You know what I'm
The
saying?
train is
Like,
moving either way, baby.
yes,
We also got to
yes,
Either
be
way.
we
yes,
also got to be willing to lift others as we climb, though.
yes,
Exactly.
Indeed.
We
yes,
Indeed.
gotta be willing. We gotta be willing
yes,
to lift others as we climb, though, because
yes.
it can be very hard to break that cycle. What I
Mhm,
find is most sickle cell patients, at some point in time or another, some maybe those who have the worst experiences sooner than later, but at some point in time, I feel like most sickle cell patients experience this cycle where they almost relegate themselves to being sick, where the illness in their life uh, takes takes over so much that anything else outside of just dealing with the illness is almost too even hard. It's too hard to even conceptualize for them, because
Mm.
they're trapped in the cycle of anger, depression, sickness, all feeding each other. Each one of those things feeding each other and trapping you in this cycle of pain, depression, anger, right back into the next one. And you just keep spinning that cycle until you find a way to break it somehow. And I'm so glad that the conversation in some way segued into that, because I think talking about the way that that cycle is broken, the way that we find our way out of the fog that the opioids create, because they do. Like, a lot of sickle cell patients don't know that morphine, oxycontin, codeine, uh, fentanyl, these things literally rewire your brain chemistry. I'm not talking about just like how the endorphins and serotonin and all of this. I am literally talking about the morphine and these drugs will literally create new synapses in your brain. How it transfer, how those electric synapses and how the brain tracks those will literally be rewired so that your body craves the drug. It will tell you that you're in pain. And that's why it becomes important to have discernment between what is your blood cells beating the shit out of you and what is your body in that dependency asking for that drug, asking for that opioid. Because oftentimes that's where the cycle starts. And because doctors, nurses, they throw these opioids at us very cavalierly sometimes, and then other times they completely withhold them from us. Uh, it becomes this, like you 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 get trapped in this notion of, okay, well, when's my next prescription? I'm counting pills. I'm counting pills. I'm counting pills until my next prescription. And that's that drug doing that to you.
I don't want to hear about that lifestyle no more. I lived that for too long. Oh, no, 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 no. That's like a nightmare,
But
y'all.
so
I
many
hated
of
it
us
so
are
much.
still
I
living
hated
that
it so
life
much, y'all.
and don't even know they're living it.
It was terrible, y'all. I hate that so much. I mean, I would be out of my mind, okay? And oh, I gotta go a whole weekend and I don't have any pain meds. Oh, this is hell on earth, okay? And everybody in my house is about to get it, okay? Like absolute terror. Nobody should live like that. You're exactly right. It's no, it's not a way to be. You cannot be 100% yourself. You're always, tilted off. You're always, messed up. And I'm gonna tell you, you're right about that because once I actually stopped taking the medicine, I had no idea that that was gonna happen to me. It was just that, like, I knew all those years if I was going to be in this state of essentially trapped in my body where I could not really work, I couldn't be a functional person around my house. I paid such close attention to every single square inch of my body that when I was feeling better, I could tell immediately. And then once I realized that I had more energy and my daily pain was going down, I completely just forgot about taking the dang on narcotics. And so I had a detox withdrawal. It was not, I do not recommend. I went cold turkey. Don't do that, y'all. I
Yeah,
just
not it's
forgot
not for
about the meds. Yeah, don't do that, y'all. This is not, don't do that. Don't do that.
you're not telling anybody to go cold turkey on their
Please
meds
don't do
today.
that. Please don't do that. Okay. I'm
Hey,
telling
but
y'all what
real,
happened to me. Okay. I'm telling you
hey,
about what happened
Work,
to me.
disclaimer, work with a specialized pain management doctor or specialist to work on a plan to wean you off of your medication if you make that decision.
Yeah,
That is
Boom.
the healthy and safest way to do that.
Thank
yeah,
you.
because
Thank
it
you.
gets.
Do not
Cold turkey will end up
yes.
sending you into an actual sickle cell crisis, which will then put you right back
Mhm.
on the opioids anyway.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, this is a cautionary tale, okay? Because one moment I was standing in my living room and the next moment I was in a heap on the floor. Like nothing worked. My legs didn't work. My, nothing worked. My body just went like offline
Mhm.
for like a few days. I spent a few days on the cold of my tile bathroom floor. Do not recommend. But then after that, I felt much better, and it still took me about a year or so to actually wean, off. Like there were times where my pain would go up, and I'd be like, "Oh, I can't do it today," and I would have to call and get something. But like here I am almost 3 years out, and I don't remember the last time I had to take any pain meds. I was on a heavy dose of morphine and Percocets. I was taking Percocets and whatever else I could get my hands on top of the morphine I was taking every day because I was in agony. But now that I don't, I am almost a completely different person. I'm much more clearer. Okay, I can remember things. My sleep patterns are much better. Of course, I'm not constipated anymore. So I lost that pooch. I lost that belly that, that you keep on you because you're hoarding all your, whatnot. Okay. Your collard greens. Okay. Everything is different. But you know what? The most weirdest thing is I had to get acupuncture to like recalibrate my whole body, like my whole
Mhm.
system. It was just like
Because it
even
rewired your brain.
yes,
It literally
it's still
rewired your
I
brain.
can still feel it to right now. I can still feel my body recalibrating itself from all those years of being on those narcotics.
Wow.
but hey, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what time we're gonna wrap this up, but I
We're almost done.
gotta. Okay, how much time you thinking?
Well,
What time is it?
considering we already really went through this question, I mean, I was going to ask you all if you had something to add to this next one because we kind of already covered it earlier.
Uh-huh.
I, the next, I think it's one more slide after that, but I don't even know. I have to double check. I don't think there's anything like. I have to check. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get off at 9:30 though.
10
Yeah,
minutes.
9:30. I'm about to get off. So I ain't gonna just hang up on y'all.
All right, cool. Thank you for letting me know. You say
Nah,
you got to go to
yeah.
Dorian?
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to be on another Zoom meeting now, technically, but I can push it probably till 6:30. I mean, it's already
Okay.
going, but I can hop on late. I'll be out. That'll be all right.
Is it 6:30?
Almost.
It's not.
Oh,
It's 9:15. Well, I say 9:15. I forgot we different times. So
yeah.
yeah,
I'm still
yeah. I
in the
gotta get
6.
up there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta
girl,
get up for
it's
tomorrow.
time for us to go to bed.
Right. I gotta get
Yeah,
up for tomorrow.
East Coaster.
Listen, I don't know if it's because
Right.
I
Look,
haven't done
y'all over there. Y'all
in a
over there
little
chilling
while
over that
that
side
I'm
of
going
town.
over.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
Y'all
sun's
because
chilling
really
over there.
shining
that,
down
Look,
here,
hey,
dude.
look. Hey, it's dark out here. Look, I'm yawn. I'm trying not to yawn on camera. It's getting late. I gotta get up in the morning.
Girl, yeah, I gotta get up in the morning.
okay, all right, okay, let's do this. Okay, so would you like to speak about the exploitation of sickle cell patients and their stories by companies or organizations? We already kind of covered
Yeah,
that.
we touched on that one.
So if anybody want to add something, say speak now, or we could just keep going.
We can keep going. We touched on that one
No, we
pretty
can
deep.
keep going. Just know your worth and don't expect nothing less. Okay, my name is Lena Lavish 100 because I add 100 to everything. Okay, my
Okay.
word, my checks. Okay, put some extra zeros on it just because.
All right. Know your worth and charge double. Okay. So this is pretty much the question and answer portion, where people in the viewers can ask us any questions you might have about anything we just talked about, advocacy, anything.
You
Um,
know what? Can I say
any-
something real quick? I want to say
mhm.
something before we get to, you know what I mean? One thing, doing the advocate part, right? And me, talking to people, having these conversations, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to find ways not to get triggered, right? Because I spend a lot of time trying not to live in the sickle cell world. You know what I mean? So this is why I really kind of like look at sickle cell now at 44 years old. It's sickle cell, like I said earlier, is just the base, right? It's more to me just sickle cell. So I got to be careful when I have certain kind of conversation with people that's still battling in a certain area that I'm trying to remove myself from. You know what I mean? Certain mind frames, because once again, sickle cell is a physical fight, but it's more mental than anything. The mental part causes more damage than the physical part. You know what I mean? So that's why I have to be careful on how deep I go, conversations, even in my real life, right? So people can't come to me and say, guess who died yesterday? I don't like talking about death, right? Because I used to struggle thinking about death on a regular. So I'm trying to remove myself from those thoughts. So I have to be in control of the conversation or the energy that I let in, because it can pull me back. You know what I mean? So this is why I like having these kind of type of conversations, more or less problem solving type conversations, right?
Mhm.
I can't live in the fight. I can't live in that, because if I live in that, it's gonna keep me there, right? And I'm
Right.
fighting to get out of that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I like to talk about when it comes to fatherhood and sickle cell, when it comes to relationships and the sickle cell, when it comes to jobs and sickle cell, how to long as you maintaining and constantly catering to the hurdles that sickle cell is throwing your way, those other facets of your life will be a lot better. You know what I mean? If you understand, but I don't want to do it too long, man. Once again, I go. My name is D'Angelo. I go by Mr. Checky Tip on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, on YouTube, 365 Never Ending Fight on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram as Mr. Checky Tip. So y'all come check me out. You know what I mean? But I love having these conversations with you, Shay. You already know.
I appreciate you because you
and
always come through with the.
Well, you already know how we tap in.
With the razzle dazzle, you know what that come through. You be on it.
I love that. This is therapy for me. So this is another avenue of my treatment.
Absolutely. I just kind of wanted to touch on a question that one of our viewers had.
Go ahead.
I think it was a little rhetorical, but I want to answer this because it's very important. Because it touched me personally in my life. So Deborah Bonner asked, I came one class short of my bachelor's degree. How do I explain that to people? Let me tell you something.
Don't explain them nothing.
You don't have to explain that to anybody, first of all. Let's start there. Because you've already, what you went through, because you were so close, you already know what it is you went to school for. You already are capable at this point. I was literally one semester away from graduating. 2 classes. So I get it. Life happened. I couldn't finish. But do you think that made me say, I can't be a filmmaker? I didn't quite finish my film degree. Do you think I said, I can't do photography? I didn't quite finish. I can't be a writer because I didn't quite finish. I have to explain to everybody. Most people, it's not a secret, but most people don't even know that about me because I don't owe anyone an explanation because I'm capable. I can do what it is I say I'm capable of doing. And I'm quite sure the same resonates within you. So don't let anybody take that from you. You don't owe that to anybody. All right. I just had to say that one. Because, we're not. Yeah, feel free to ask more questions. Feel free to, I know I didn't really too much cover the comments. You guys were commenting a lot. I appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you so much. What we have coming up for this month, just real quick before we end, and that's a different language, so y'all gotta excuse me. I forgot to change language. Anyways, we have the pop-up panel, which is a speak up panel. If you all do not know, I have started a mentorship program about a year ago with a team of amazing people, and we really put our time and our efforts into building something sustainable and amazing for advocates, a place for them to educate themselves on how to be a public speaking advocate in any form or fashion. Well, not any. 3 major ones, which is the hospital advocacy, the political advocacy, and the public speaking arena. Just things that you already have to deal with anyway. So whether or not you want to know how to be more effective with talking to doctors, medical professionals, if you want to know more about how do you speak, how do you do panels, how do you go and speak at different conferences, different stuff like that. We are going to do a free workshop because this program is not free, and it's not because I owe it, but it's because whatever you're going to take pride in something, you have to pay for it, and that's why we're doing it like that. So this is an hour workshop where you can learn how to develop and tell your story publicly. You'll do a panel such as this and have a conversation about your life and your journey and what that looked like. So that's going to be coming up on the 12th. I had to look at the date. That's on the 12th. And then we have the men's panel coming up on the 11th. I'm super excited for that one. Because I'm not, I'll be here, running in the background on the backstage, but I'm not going to be nowhere. Listen, this ain't for me. This is for the men out there This is for the community, and I'm super excited about that. And then we have our Sickle Cell Squares game show live. So we do have spots. We actually have less slots than what I have. I'm not gonna lie, I got tired of making the flyer because it was too much. It was too much to do at one time. So there are more people, but we still do have a few slots left for people who want to play Sickle Cell Squares. If you're like, what is Sickle Cell Squares? Basically Hollywood squares, but sickle cell themed. So it's gonna be very fun, very interesting. Um, I'm excited about that. I have I don't know who I'm versing, so I need someone to be my competition in this and say, hey, I want to go against you, Shabreon, because this is gonna be fun. I'm excited about it. Okay, so if you have anything coming up this month, we also want to support you. I also just wanted to dedicate this podcast episode to my mother and my grandmother, because without them, there'd be no me. Or without me, how'd it go? Yeah, did I say it right?
You said it right. Without them, it
Okay.
won't be you.
Yes, there would be no me without them. So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to them, and especially my mother. She's a warrior. They are holding me up in spirit, so that's why I chose this picture, because they're holding me up in this picture, and in spirit they are holding me up, cheering me on, telling me you got this. When the chips are down, when it's looking crazy, I feel them pushing me, telling me you got this. So that is why I dedicate this episode to them. I forgot to dedicate a last episode, but I will do that from this point forward. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to my beautiful panelists. Thank you so much for being here. You have anything
Thank
you're working on?
you.
You want to share anything you want to say? Any messages? Any
I'm
words
out
of
of here. I'm out of
anything?
here. It's been a pleasure. It's been a
Bye
real.
bye. Thank
All right, y'all be
you.
easy.
I
Yeah.
will do a shameless plug. If any of our warriors out there are going to be attending the Cayenne Wellness Conference next week, I will be speaking on day one, and I'll be moderating a young adults panel on day two. So hopefully, if you're attending virtually or in person, then hopefully I'll see some of you guys there.
Okay.
All righty.
Awesome. Hey, there's nothing wrong with shamelessly plugging yourself. I just literally did it two slides ago. So without further, Lena, do you have something to say before I end this off?
No, just thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
I'm everywhere. You guys can find me. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. And I would really like to support whoever what y'all got going on this month, especially if it's virtually. Let me know. If I can help support, if I could just, shine my light a little brighter on what you got going on, let me know. If there's something and you're like, oh, I really want to do a panel and I don't know if she's up for that. Listen, you never know. Reach out. It's a possibility. I give everyone a chance. It's just all on what you do with that chance. At the end of the day,
You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. I'm sorry, I don't know why.
this opportunity comes within the lifetime. Let me stop. Okay.
Shay says you get one shot.
Listen, and if you feel like, dang, I blew that shot, that's what Speak Up is for. That's what it's for. So you could be like, you know what? I'm not there yet. I want to learn. Cool. Say less. All right. Other than that, I thank you so much for watching. I thank you so much. If you shared, please make sure you share this. This was so amazing. Okay? This has been refreshing. This has been everything. So please share it. Please like it. Please support it. Please just just. And I will leave you with my positive words of wisdom. As always, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Until next time, folks, peace.
Not that perfect unison. All right.